Hi, it's Nigel again. If you are listening to this, that means that you are listening to the old style of the podcast. You may like the old style of having it split into two pieces, but I know some of my listeners didn't. So, what I've done, I have created the option for you to be able to listen to everything all in one go. You don't have to wait till next week. You could get it now. At the moment, it's just on Spotify. We'll be coming on Patreon as well. Costs you, was it £3 plus the VAT? I think it is. Over a month, and that means you get the whole thing all in one go. So the other advantage, that'll be coming out on a Sunday. This one you will notice has just come out Monday. Wouldn't make a big difference really, but there you go, you've got it. You've got that choice. Helps me invest in better equipment and maybe a few other bonus items going forward. So if you can spare essentially a cup of coffee once a month, and you get the benefit of getting it earlier and getting it all together. So pop along to Spotify, have a look in there where it is, and there'll be a little lock sign against one called number 132/133, John Henney, the voice coach. And that's the combined one, and you should be able to click on there, do what Spotify tells you to do to register and put all your payments in. Yeah, that's it. And the only thing, if you have done that and you do it, I don't know if I get details on it yet. It's very new. So send me ping me a message through whatever medium you can get hold of me, and you'll get a mention on the show. So again, thanks very much, and let you carry on with the show. Cheers now. Well, interesting conversation here. I'm going to talk about this week. Last 2 weeks, I have been pretty busy running around with different things, and my wife's doing a lot of the work, planning parties, birthdays, and all that for our two daughters who are birthdays are a week apart. So one of them's birthday's tomorrow, one of them was last Tuesday. There's different parties going on and different present stuff and all that sort of thing. Different members of family and friends coming in. And I realised this morning, sitting there thinking, last night was a pain in the backside, where we had a number of guests staying over for a sleepover with my youngest. That myself and my better half hadn't communicated very well. We hadn't talked about it, we hadn't put a plan together. And I realised that these party planning activities are not following the same disciplines I would do if I was doing my projects. They say that most mechanics' cars are not running very well and things like that. I don't know if it's true or apocryphal, and I don't know if I'm the same with my projects. It just makes me think that, again, it re-emphasises the life skill that project management is. And Anara and I talk about this in this interview around how getting our kids to know how to do stuff and think about projects, breaking them down and planning and getting things done at the right time. And if I'd done that, I would not be in a situation last night where at 10, 11 o'clock, whatever time it was, we were pumping up beds for kids to sleep on. If I'd been sensible, I'd have organised that and done it in the morning. But that's how it goes. Sometimes you run around. Rest of the time, what's been going on? Not a great deal. Working as usual, podcast interviews, been fighting. This episode wasn't due to be issued this week. It was going to be another one, which I am still trying to recover from way on earlier in the month, in the year. I think it was May, and I thought I'd recovered it, and I'd failed. So we're back to the drawing board on that one. So bringing Anara in. I've had a couple of great interviews over the past few weeks, and some more lined up. I've now, if I can fix the other one, I've got all the interviews lined up for the full year. So we'll have some great content for you leading up to Christmas, and then you'll get me wittering along on my own for the final Christmas/New Year episodes, which is great. It's nice to be in that position. It makes me relax a little bit. But I've still got interviews to do leading up to New Year, so we'll have a few in the bag ready for next year as well. So with that, I haven't got a lot to say this week, so I'm going to let you get on and listen to my interview with Anara. Enjoy. So I have a number of sponsors, affiliate links in the way that it's set up that have kindly allowed me to share their services, really. The first one is Mike Clayton, and Mike runs online PM courses, and it is a great resource for getting those fundamentals of project management trained, reasonably priced, and Mike presents it in an accessible and clear manner. You can check out some of his videos on his YouTube channel and kind of give you a view of where they are. But the code for that, if you go to nigelcreaser.com/online PM courses, all one word, lowercase, that'll redirect you to it. There's very different levels that you can buy. You can buy individual courses, you can buy pathways as well, if you like. And I get a kickback off those. Mike kindly shares me that. So if you do jump on and use it, I hope you find it really useful. I think he has money back guarantees and things like that as well. So there's very limited risk on that. So jump on that, and that again, it's nigelcreaser.com/online PM courses, and enjoy. Hello and welcome to the show. Today I would like to welcome Anara Asylbekova, which I hope I've got right. I think I have. She's nodding. She is a portfolio manager currently working in healthcare in the United Arab Emirates. She's been managing COVID response and technology portfolios both for healthcare, fintech, and has done several agile transformations globally. She is also a creative facilitator at AgileMentor.me, where she uses Lego Serious Play, wicked problem solving, and value stream for teams and company transformations. She is a PMI chapter Kazakhstan leader as well, and she is now a candidate for a doctorate doing research into AI in portfolio management, which I'm sure we'll touch on. Co-author of the Mastering Solutions delivery book, and together with her husband and kids wrote a book, Little Project Manager, the project of creating my first book in 7 days. So Anara, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Just have a little bit of a bio there. Just tell people a little bit more about you and where you're from, kind of where you grew up, where you are now, and things like that.
Yeah, okay. I'm from Kazakhstan originally, so I'm Kazakh. I have about 20 years of experience, mostly in the project management and portfolio management. Been doing projects in Kazakhstan in the fintech mostly. Also been working in India, Czech Republic, and some other countries for the project execution. And since pandemic started, I'm based in UAE. Been working in Abu Dhabi for the COVID response projects, and then moved to Dubai. So currently I'm in Dubai with my family and kids.
Brilliant. So obviously we connected on LinkedIn, and I think it was I'm trying to remember whether it was me who contacted you or you who contacted me, but it was around the book, the Little Project Manager, the book of creating my first book in 7 days, and I kind of tell us a little bit about that and why you wrote that.
Yeah, so we've been volunteering for the PMI chapter in Kazakhstan, me and my husband. So I've been a disciplined Agile champion, and he's been part of the board, a board member. So we've heard from the PMI, the initiative, that they would like to start teaching project management for the kids.
Yeah.
So we had that seed in mind, and while our kids was growing, they've been saying that they want to do some kind of stuff. They wanted to make a video like bloggers. Most of the kids do. When they play, they record it and they want to put it to the YouTube. They wanted to write a book. They wanted to create a board game. So they've been coming to us asking on how it would be better to do that. And we immediately thought that it would be a good idea actually to teach them the skill of making it with the project management tools or the frameworks, So they would understand the principles, and they would learn it while doing the fun stuff. And maybe that skill will then embed in their mind and will help them in the future. As you said, the project management is a life skill, right? So, and we had that in mind all the time. So we've been doing, initially we had the Scrum board, then we had the Kanban boards. We've been using different tools, and we've been doing those projects, a little small, different kind of projects that together with kids. Then one day my husband came saying that, oh, there is actually people interested in this subject, and they've been heard that how we've been doing it with the kids. So he came up with an idea. Let's write a book. Yeah, and he drafted the first version. Then we came to our kids. They read it. They simplified the language because they've been coming and saying, oh, that's not clear, or actually this was done differently. So they've put a lot of ideas around. The small one, Daniel, was saying that, oh, I actually like putting a ticks. Let's put the ticks against each of the tasks that we do. So we added ticks. Then we asked other kids what their interest is, because the first book is about writing a book by the kids. So different kids had a different interest. One of them wanted a car book. The other wanted about the cats, the dogs, the mermaid, right? So we added those different templates for the kids, so they would be having it based on what they wanted the book be about. So that's the story. And when we published actually the book, we've got a lot of interest from the project management community. So we received a lot of recommendations, and we've received a lot of interest as well from the school. So we have a reference written by Daniel's teacher, a reference written by the headmaster of the school. So I would say that it's a success. And as a result, we've got an interest to translate it to the Arabic, to translate it to the Kazakh language, because they wanted to have a version in own language, right, to teach. So the project management, project managers who are parents, they've been coming to us and saying, oh, actually, it's a good way to explain to the kids what kind of work we do.
Yeah.
So if the kids would be learning the project management, they would be understanding, oh, my mom is actually a project manager, so now I know what she's doing. And that's a kind of a surprising feedback that we've got on the way of releasing it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It's I noticed, because I was looking at I haven't got a copy of the book yet, but I will get one. And I see you've got some what's it called, the recommendations on the back. Then you got Americo De Pinto from PMO Global Alliance in there. He's like obviously a big hitter in the PMO and then the project management community. He looks after the global PMO awards and runs that as well.
Yeah.
And a true jewel, he says, encouraging kids to dream big and go on their own creative journeys. I greatly enjoyed and enthusiastically recommend this book to young readers and their families. I'm not sure how old your kids are. I've got a 17-year-old and an 11-year-old, and both of them are authors in waiting. I've tried to instill some project management discipline in them and teach it. So it's always kind of being a bit like, oh, dad kind of conversations when it's like, what are we going to do? Okay, well, I want to do this. It's kind of, well, what do you need for it? Well, what do you mean? I just want to do it. It's kind of, yeah, but come on, so break it down. Break it into components.
Yeah.
Eat the elephant. And it kind of, then I get the hand to my face. Go away. But I remember we did it, and I've mentioned it, I'm sure, a couple of times. We did it quite a while back. We were doing quite a lot of work in our garden, and we were doing it as a team, the four of us. And we've got 3 windows in our kitchen, and I just looked at it and I thought, right, post-its, backlog, to do, doing, done. and started sticking them all up there. And it's just like, right, we've got using a window. You don't need a fancy whiteboard. You don't need a fancy Jira or anything. It's kind of, if you've got 3 windows or 3 spaces, you can build a Kanban board, and you can use it. And I encouraged all the family. In fact, we started using Trello. Other Kanban boards are available, but we started using Trello. And I think one of my kind of prouder moments is when my eldest, she'd been at school and she'd been scribbling something. She was doing something on her phone. I said, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just putting this on my Trello board." And she uses her Trello board for ideas at school, ideas for this. What do you mean? She's like me. You know, you start using it and you end up with these hundreds of different boards to capture ideas on. And it's kind of like, that's good. It's kind of, because, and we said it, I've said it so many times, and you said it as well, is the ability to look at a task, understand what you've got to do, or understand what you don't know what you've got to do, break it down, work out what needs to be done by when, and what happens before, etc. All that is a skill. Yeah, exactly. And there's only one place, really, when I see in the school curriculum, that's maybe me being out of date with it a lot, where you actually follow something like that. You don't necessarily create it, but you follow something like that, and that's cooking. Mm-hmm. When they do the cooking, and you're following a recipe and the method, it's a project plan. Yeah, you've got your do this by this day, do it for this long. Here's the settings all within there, and I think that's the only time that people see it, and.
Yeah, and we also try to teach them the language of the project management as well on the way, how we do it. So they just come and say, "Oh, Mom, there is a birthday. My birthday is coming in 2 months. I want to celebrate it." And like, okay, let's define what we need to do. So let's put a scope around it. What's the timeline we have? They're like, "Oh, 2 months, okay. What do you think you need to do? How you need to prepare for your birthday?" He's like, "Oh, I need to prepare a list of the guests. I need to find out the place." So by guiding them with the questions around it, and then they actually smart, right? Yeah. They know what needs to be done, and they just came up with the scope. Then they came up with the plan. They understand what kind of constraints we might have, and that's the way how we can teach them. And then it might help them to understand that if you want to do something, you need to plan, you need to understand what you need to do, you need to understand if you have a budget for it, if you need someone's help, so you can build up your project team, right? Yeah. And then get a help to do that activities. And that's exactly what we have reflected in the book. It's just they do an activity, they write a book, they make a short film, or they do the party, and they just follow the steps, and at the end of the book they would understand that, oh, actually I've done the project, I've achieved it. And that's the time to celebrate it with my friends and the parents and everyone who helped with the project.
Brilliant. So you cover it from the whole thing of defining it through to the celebration of the success, which is something that seems important as well, isn't it? Because sometimes we get through projects and that remembering to celebrate, because just as project managers, you're usually, or I find quite often, you're delivering a project and you know that you or your manager or someone in the area has seen that project's coming to an end. We've got this project coming. They usually overlap. So you're in the middle of trying to understand and get to grips with the next thing, while you're finishing off the last thing and filling in the lessons learned template that you have to, that gets filed in somebody's drawer and never get looked at. And that chance to celebrate, and you'll see things, say, in an organisation you're with, it's coming up to Christmas, well, there's Christmas celebrations going on, so you can't, and then those celebrations and that we did this, can really drift to one side. And I think, again, with my kids, they've got music, it's the thing they do a lot of, and they're doing music exams and doing things like that. And I think it's important to, when they've done the work and they put that hard work in, because that's a project in itself. If you think about it, they've got so much to learn, they've got lessons to go through, and we battle with them sometimes on getting them to do the practice. though they seem to love the music when they are doing it. It's just getting them to do it. But we're all a bit like that, I think. And I think,
Yeah, it's always about putting milestones and not forgetting to celebrate it. It should be
yeah,
fun, first of all, especially when it's done with the kids. They should be entertained, they should be motivated and interested to do that, right? And it's their idea to do the stuff. And then celebration is the great achievement that they have accomplished something, they have a result, and that's really important for them to step into the next project with more confidence and with the feeling that they can do it. And celebration gives them that feeling that they can actually do it.
yeah. Because I think it's good because it ties emotion, doesn't it? A positive emotion to the hard work. Because sometimes when getting stuff done, there's a little bit of discomfort, isn't there? And you need to have that positive reinforcement so that that inner chimp can actually sit there and go, actually, you can pitch to that inner chimp the benefits of it. And remember last time kind of thing, isn't it? It's
a feeling of the fulfillment as well, right?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to think about. It's the phraseology used at the schools that I've heard is they're doing a project book or they've got a project or something like that, and I've said it before, but you watch things like Dragon's Den or The Apprentice, and they give people they make people project manager, and it's like they're not project managers, they're just team leaders. Stop it. And I get really annoyed with that phrase being called project manager. They haven't got they haven't got a Gantt chart in their hand or a Kanban board, so they can't be a project manager.
Yeah.
But that aside, and for regular listeners, they'll be fed up with me saying that. But I think that there's a I'm trying to think what I'd say. That whole thing is structured around project, about those things you've got to get. You've got to do something for a specific piece, and I think some kids will probably do it really well. They're really organised and they get on with it, and they've got the natural capabilities of breaking down stuff. And if you watch a kid doing something, a piece of Lego, your Lego instructions is the same as well. You kind of go through it and you follow that process. It's that defining the process. I think some of us are naturally good at following a set of instructions. Some of us are naturally, as humans, are comfortable just not knowing what's going on and just winging it. But the kind of it's kind of in both of those extremes, if you like, there's one extreme where someone would like someone to give them all of the instructions, and they'll just follow them. And then at the other end, we don't need the instructions. Let's just see where we get. And that's where I think in between we've got this need of a capability to create those instructions and then follow those instructions, to follow your own instructions and your own plan. And I think kids don't necessarily recognise the benefit of that, but and remember it when they do it, how good it is. And it's kind of with the experience from your side of it. What you mentioned that Daniel's teacher was saying it was really good. What was it that they said about it? What was it that they found was different and about using this book?
First of all, it's a structure, as you said, so easy guidelines that kids can follow to do that, right? And as you said, kids are different. Some of them can independently do that. And the language of the book, at least the first one, that is for creating an own book, is written in a way the 5-year-old kid would understand it. We've tested it several times, and we've got a feedback. And the language was tailored by Daniel, who's been at that time 5-year-old, right? But it's also important to remember it's just a kid. So the parent is there to help and to facilitate it. We kind of forget that we expect quite a lot from the kid, but they actually copy us, right? So if they see that we do it in a more structured way, They see that we plan the stuff. They see that we put those stickers on our board in order to understand what should be done and then move them around. They would follow that as well, unintentionally, unconsciously, right? They will just observe how you're dealing with your projects, with all those activities that you do, and they would copy it. And the parent is there not only be an example for the kid, but also to help kid to achieve that result as well. So if it's a bit challenging for the kid to do his or her first project, our help is really essential. It's us who would describe them why it's better to do it within the framework of delivering a project rather than making it chaotic. And also we can propose them an instruction how to do it better, right? And our book really helps in that. With the examples, that's very easy for the kid to understand.
Brilliant. So I'm just thinking about, sorry, that's just gone, that whole thought, just train of thought. I just think about what you just said there, and my train of thought completely lost me. But I'm just looking now at the message from you guys on there, that you've kind of got your two kids there and the pictures in there. It was just a curiosity one. It was really, who did the illustrations for you? Because it's for those who are not listening, well, you can see the book behind your head, can't you? For those on YouTube, it's behind Anara's right side there. It's a picture book, obviously, and so who did the illustrations for you, and how did you go about finding someone to do the illustrations and so forth?
Yeah, that's the journey as well on itself. So I've been using Fever to find out an illustrator for the book. So the first 3 version was failing. It wasn't exactly what we wanted to do. But then we found an amazing illustrator from Ukraine, Alina. And she understood straight away what we wanted to achieve. And we've said, like, we want our faces and the faces of our kids managing the project. So in all the pages of the book, you would see illustrations from her for the different project management activities.
Yeah,
so it's an amazing.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the pictures. It looks really nice. I really like the style of it, and it's really it looks really accessible to the kids. I can see that, and your notes for parents in there and things like that. And
yeah, it's a hand drawn, because some of the freelancers, they've been, we create, just send us a photo, we'll create for you an AI images or a ready images that will be doing what you wanted to be illustrated, right? Like, we actually want something real.
Yeah. I can see that, because I love. I'm going to grill you on AI and portfolio management and all that in a little bit, because it's an area that I'm fascinated with, as we all are now. I was just thinking about that, where you've got the benefit of what it can do. I've been doing some generation for book ideas and things like that. My eldest was doing sort of fan fiction around Marvel characters, and there was one scene and I said, well, why don't we do this? And we kind of looked to do it like a little bit of a graphic novel kind of view. And whilst it wasn't perfect, what I asked for in prompt using just Bing was kind of like, it's a really good start point of where you could get these things, and you could have like a 5, 6, 7 picture cartoon. If it could, the only thing I found, I couldn't get it to stay consistent. But you could have done like a couple of speech bubbles, and you're away, and you've got it. And it was something I could never have dreamt of doing myself. Being not particularly arty, I can play around with a little bit of a pencil, but I wouldn't say I can draw to that level. Yeah. I just thought it was amazing what it can do. So it's, but I can see where the benefit of having that naturalness of the hand drawn, because there's the imperfections, isn't there, that make it more real in some ways, and it has a different feel to it when you've got those imperfections in it a little bit. And I remembered what I was going to ask you, actually. I was thinking about you saying there that you were both kind of hopefully modelling for your children in your behaviours in how organised you are as project manager in your own life. But I wonder, because I wonder, there's the sort of story that the fact you get every mechanic's car's broken down and not working very well because they're really good at the job but not very good at looking after their own, and all finance people's money's in trouble. And I just wonder whether it's, and I sometimes find myself not organising and kind of planning something in a structured manner that I would at work, or even sometimes with you have some tasks at work where you don't do it, you'll manage a team and get a whole project and you get them organised, and then you're doing one little self thing that you're doing and you don't organise yourself. Do you and your husband, is Timo your husband? Do you two? Are you paragons of virtue that everything you do you always plan, or do you let yourself slip sometimes?
I think you guessed it correctly. I'm a PMP and PFMP certified, and I have a bunch of other certifications. He's PMP certified, and as you said, everything that we do it as projects. And that's funny because our friends look at how we do it, and there's like, how you're not lost in all the project or all the activities that you do. Yeah, because it's structured, because it's really organized in a way.
It's always wonder whether people do that. I remember I worked for a boss many years ago, and the thing that he used to do is the first thing him and his wife would do on a Saturday morning would work out what jobs they needed to do, go and do them jobs, and then have the rest of the weekend off. I'm kind of like, Saturday morning, I think, I've got no work. I can relax a little bit, and then potter around. I might do the odd podcasting, but then I sit there thinking, it's Sunday morning going, I haven't quite recorded the intro for the podcast for this week. I need to record that quick. And I find I'm a little bit the opposite way, in that I can be quite good at applying it, and quite vociferous with kind of going, if someone gives me a plan that's not a Microsoft project, I say it's not, and it hasn't got dependencies in it, I say it's not a plan. But you get to that sort of level.
That's true.
It's funny, isn't it? How...
Yeah, I think the main constraint is the time, right? The resource that you have. So you try to manage everything within that.
I found I've tried to apply with my writing, with the podcast a little bit, and with some of my sports stuff. So with judo and my running, kind of planning out my training plans and things like that, and try to apply them to those. But one of the things I find really, really useful in all these instances, is that exercise, and sometimes you can get lost in it actually, that exercise of sitting there and working out what needs to be done, working out that, in quotes, work breakdown structure, and the dependencies, and kind of a view of how long things might take. And there's a real pleasure in doing that, I find. And I alluded, I can't remember whether you said it was Daniel who said he liked the ticking things off. There's a great pleasure in doing that, but sometimes there's a real danger that you're ticking things off, and you're planning to a detailed level that is so detailed that actually you're stopping yourself doing work. Do you kind of catch those sort of things within the book and talk to those kind of approaches, or is it more the mechanics rather than the mindset?
It's more on the we don't go to that granular level, right? It's a book for the kids, so we don't want to overload with a lot of information and maybe a lot of tools that the kid might not need it. But we do emphasize that kid, as a project manager, he or she will need a team. So it's not that they necessarily need to do that project, deliver it themselves, right? So it's about embedding in them some other skills as well, like a leadership, like a delegation, like a task assignment, like negotiation as well. And we also emphasize, especially for our kids, is like, don't expect that I would remember everything that you should do, right? Or everything that you need us to do. So keep chasing us, keep following up with us. If we have done it for you, or if we still remember it, or do we still plan it? So, and it's amazing how after sometimes you actually got in a situation that you've overpromised it, but your kid remembers everything that you've promised, and they keep chasing you, and you don't have a chance not to deliver it.
I like that skill of delegation, which I think is really key to a lot of people when they're moving to management, leadership, but even in family situations, that we can all be guilty of just getting on with it ourselves, can't we? And when you're running a household, I was trying to remember who it was I was talking to. It was Alex Kingsbury, and they kind of look at what their kids are doing, and early on allocate them a task list of what they've got to do, and delegate their getting their stuff ready for school the following day, and they're tiny as well, and I think that is a good practice to go into, because as a parent, you can end up just running around after the kids, and they get to the point where they get used to it, and unless you. And the thing is, you've got to be willing to go through a bit of pain when you delegate, haven't you? Before it works.
It's the same pain. It's the same pain that you face with the team members, especially the new team members who joins, right? And your kids, you need to invest your time in order to teach, in order to mentor them to do that independently, and then you need to help them to tailor that skill. And then only they can independently carry on and do it themselves. So that's the actually trap that most of the managers fall under, because they don't want to invest the time to train, to mentor, and then they don't have a choice to delegate it, right?
Yeah, I think it's that conversation they have around, and again, I haven't quite got it entirely, but that servant leadership kind of approach. The way I look at part of that is it is making that time to help the person do their job and do their job better. And in order for you to do that, you must have time available for them to come to you. You must, and I think there's a tension in organisations a lot of the time where you'll have a person who is the manager, and they're so busy doing because they've got to approve this, they've got to do that, they've got to do that. The organisation gives them so many things to do, not necessarily the tools to do it with that well, that they don't have the time to be a leader. You know what I mean? You're doing management rather than being a leader, and being a leader means that mentoring, having the right number of people working for you that you have time to be able to invest. Because the idea is that you should get stuff done through them, not that you should do the stuff. And that's exactly the same thing. And that's what the same with the kids. It's like, see, understanding dependencies, understanding negotiation to get someone to do something, getting you, I don't know, paying your little brother or little sister. You can have my broccoli if I can have your whatever kind of thing. You see it negotiating at the dinner table sometimes, don't you? They're swapping food. I remember my brother, there's a bit you don't like, and your parents may not spot you doing it, but at least the plate's clean and the parents are happy, aren't they? And I think it's a skill that it's a habit, actually. I think in delegation, and I break it quite a lot, and try to not break it. But it's about timing. Obviously, it's not. You can't always do it. Sometimes you've got to do that thing where you just got to get on, roll your sleeves up, and get something done, isn't it? Yeah. But other times it is a case of, right, can you do that for me? And I do find myself sometimes just, especially I suppose in areas where I feel comfortable and know about it and know that I know it really well, I'll kind of go, I'll do that. I'll dive into it, and then. I need to stop myself doing that more, and it's something I do recognise where there are certain things where I should just go, right, can you go and do that for me? And I know I'm going to take ages. This week there was something on it, a new it ended up with me with them on the phone, and I was cracking through a spreadsheet doing stuff, and rather than me just saying, "Can you go away and do it?" and I spent an hour doing that, and it was, maybe it's just the pressure of timing and needing to do it. And again, sometimes that is the case, but I do catch myself better now. But I think it's fantastic teaching those skills and negotiation skills for kids, because again, negotiation is about influencing. For me, it's about sales, and we're all of us are selling always. We're always doing it.
Yeah. True.
So another great sponsor of the show comes in the form of Air Manual. Air Manual is it's a tool for documenting process, which and best practices. It's a company formed by one of my interviewees, Alexis Kingsbury. Essentially, and I kind of summarised why my view of where we see documentation. A lot of my experience has been people will document something, a process, they'll put it in a Visio diagram that gets loaded onto a SharePoint site or something similar, and then a bunch of that. So then once that diagram's been shared with senior management, they're happy they have a process in the business. But then the detailed procedures underneath it might be in Word documents, just poorly kept and not linked easily and not updated. And what Air Manual does, it allows you to put in it's a tool for doing this kind of thing. You whack it in, the service in there, get in there, put in your process, your flow, and you build it down to as low a level of detail, even to the point of checklists where people can check off they've done it. So it creates that guided checklists, easy to create, easy to maintain, and all in one place. And no one's kind of rooting around to find the SharePoint, and then when you change to new SharePoint services and all that stuff, it's all there. So if you pop along to nigelcreaser.com/airmanual, there's a bit more detail there and a link there to click on to go and get. I think they offer a trial and things like that. So it's something that I think can easily reduce the amount of errors, rework, etc. within our organisations. So take a look. Hope you enjoyed that. But you're thinking, I wonder what the next bit's going to be. Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? You heard at the beginning of the show where I said there's a way around that. So if you're really itching and you want to hear the next bit of this show, jump down to Patreon, have a look, find the one that's got a little lock on it, click on it, and you'll be able to get the second half along with the first half all together. And you won't get this annoying bit or the annoying bit at the beginning that I just done as well. So yeah, give it a go. It's only a price of a coffee. Cheers. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview with Anara, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks very much. Bye. So this is my final wrap up. Every week you're going to hear this. You're going to get bored of it, but you can always click next podcast if so. If you have enjoyed it, if you listened to this podcast to the end of this show and you think that was great, I'd love to be able to help Nigel out. There are loads of ways you can do it. The first and obvious way is to share the podcast. Send it out to people. If you know colleagues and friends who'd benefit from it, you think they'd enjoy it, just send them the link. Grab one of the links or send them to www.nigelcreaser.com/podcasts. That's www.nigelcreaser.com/podcasts, and that will push them over to a Linktree link, and it's got all of the different ways they can consume the podcast. If you are feeling generous and have a big bag of cash, you could grab a copy of one of my books. Obviously, They're available in all the usual places, print and digital. Again, jump on the website, www.nigelcreaser.com/shop, and that will give you a list of all the different ways that you can contribute and grab copies of the book. Also got links to all my guests' books on there as well, where I get a little bit of a kickback from them. If you are of a sporting mind, I have a number through doing some of my judo and running antics. I've managed to secure a few affiliate links and affiliates there as well. So in there, somewhere in the sponsors page, there's links to those as well. So clicking onto those and grabbing if you're looking to get super fit, then that would be fabulous as well, and I get a little kickback from those. I have a Patreon account. It's patreon.com/sundaylunchpm. So again, you can ping something in there, buy me a coffee or whatever. And finally, obviously the most important is coming back, listen again, because the more of you that come back, the more visibility I get, because there's more times that it's downloaded and all the SEO works and things like that. So yeah, that's it. So if you can help me out, I would be much appreciated. If you can't, don't worry about it. Thank you very much. Cheers now. Bye. My latest, the latest affiliate that I've got on the show now is Riverside. I use Riverside to do my interviews, Riverside FM. It kind of offers you a whole, if you like, micro studio management producer tooling and goes beyond that. Has a really good free layer. And I've been using it for a while now. I find it really good. When I've had issues, even though I'm not on one of the higher paid levels, the support has been quick, responsive and of high quality, and people keen to help me. The organisation seems really good. The product seems really intuitive. And quality is really good as well. And it's a clever way of doing it is when you're recording through your browsers, so you've not got loads of desktop resources being used compared to some other products that I've used. And what they also do is they stream a lower quality version of it up onto as you're doing the interview, so you're not burning bandwidth while you're doing the interview and potentially impacting on the quality of the conversation. And then at the end, it uploads it, the higher quality from your browser. It's just a really good way of doing it. So if you are thinking of doing a podcast, and know someone's doing a podcast, I would recommend using this tool. I found it really good. Best of the tools that I've tried using to date. And you can get that at nigelcreaser.com/riverside, and that will redirect you to my kickback page on their site, and there I will get a little kickback from them. So take a look. Thanks. Well, it's goodbye from me, Nigel Creaser, and it's goodbye from him, the Sunday Lunch PM. Goodbye.